Hey, what's going on, Strand Slam Virgin Gang? Hope you're doing pretty good. Hey, look what I found. Look what I found looking around. Ooh, when are these going to be released to the public? I wonder. Hey, newcomers to the channel. Why is Opossum holding toilet paper? That's a funny little piece of lore that happened earlier this year. Hey, well, maybe Gen 2 will come out with that stuff later. Maybe the Wave 2, the Neo discovery of toilet paper art will be unveiled here soon. Anyway, I want to talk about something that I saw perusing the r/Poke investing once again. And these guys, these takes that people, I love it. It's just endless entertainment. It's basically like turning on like reality TV, only it actually is reality. It is happening. It's just as goofy as that fake reality TV, but it's real. It's like the ghost of real. You die in the video game, you die for real now. But at this point, you're looking at Pokemon cards and the goofy things that happen with it. Not only have we seen so many instances of where people push things and cards just get heavily risen to inflate it to ridiculous amounts because of whatever reason someone might want to put on. Oh, it's popular. Oh, it's hard to pull. Oh, the PSA 10s are doing this because of quality control, or, anything that people have to say about it. None of that really matters because you can always throw another card into that monkey wrench. So, oh, this is a low pop card. Umbreon VMAX. Perfect trump counter. That's your League of Legends counter pick for a card being like low pop, so it's expensive. Oh, Umbreon VMAX, the one from Evolving Skies. There's like fucking what, like 12,000 copies of that in a PSA 10. So now it's like what, like $1,600, $1,700 for a 10. Craziness for modern cards, right? And then the Scarlet and Violet era is totally gonna have copes that are just like that too, where people like make these like takes and like, look, I'm not saying every one of them is not based in like some kind of like hint of logic or something like that, but as someone who lived through the Japanese boom and watched people say a lot of the exact same things people are currently saying about the Scarlet and Violet Sword and Shield era, I just can't help but snicker to myself because it's like, it's literally just repeat. It's literally just waking up and it's the same. It's Christmas morning every day and I can't escape this loop. I'm stuck in the loop of Christmas. It's just fucking funny. And what we're looking at today, it's no stranger. It's gonna be Magikarp from, I'm just a giggly motherfucker today. Just look at this stuff. Because look at these prices. Look at this shit. Look at what's going on here. We have Magikarp from Paldea Evolved. And just the AR that will not stop climbing. Excuse me, the IR. The AR would imply that it's Japanese. The superior quality and the superior look of the card. It just looks like such a banger of a card on that stuff, right? Am I out of the loop? When did this double in price? No, Crafty, you're not out of the loop. This is just what Pokemon card talks and the investing side of Pokemon is now. We just have a lot of people that are willing to throw money at cards like this for future prospect of possibly being a solid investment for a single C. The cope with this Magikarp big time, and I mean, it has a little bit of validity to English quality, is that the quality control for English cards is so fucking terrible that the likelihood of you pulling this card is kind of low anyway, considering it's a big set. But even if you do pull this card, even if you strike fucking gold and you actually mine Magikarps right out of the ground, there's a good shot you're getting it, and it's going to have some wicked print lines. It's going to be off-centered. The corners are going to be jacked up. Looks like someone just took a bite out of it. It's crazy, all the things that could be wrong with these cards, because English quality control is just absolute garbage. So when you do pull this card, I mean, you get a 10, man, you're looking at $1,500 for a Magikarp. Man, am I glad I collect Japanese right this second. At one point I wasn't, but I'm very happy right now I collect What was this card in Japanese, like as a raw card? Like 25 bucks, 30 bucks or something like that? Maybe in like a PSA 10, it's like what, like 70, 80, maybe, if we're looking at that. And don't get me wrong, this is a fantastic card. I absolutely adore this Magikarp. This art is absolutely fantastic. But is it $1,500 fantastic? I really don't think so. I obviously don't have a pull or say in this market. I don't have an English copy of this card at all. I have the Japanese copy, which is perfectly good and fine for me. But look right there. It's just because the English version's quality control is complete ass. That's what QC stands for, quality control. So getting a 10, and this is a real hard thing to do. The Japanese version looks better, and it's so much cheaper. Isn't that funny? Like, everybody who's about like this card can literally admit that another version of a card is better. But because said version of the card is better, it makes it like less desirable. It makes it way less cool for people to actually get. It makes the price of it tank because people aren't interested in that. It's almost like people aren't really interested in the card or how the card looks or the art really for it so much. They're interested in getting this card in a nice little perfect time. Hey, if that's you, no shame in your game, man. Do your thing. Say what you... It's just kind of funny that people say art, card, Pokemon, all this stuff, but I mean, when it really comes down to it, I got to get like the hardest version of it to acquire to get in a 10. And that's when I truly appreciate the card for what it is. Once again, it's just funny. It's funny how people make that saying. It's funny how people say that cope. And it's really funny how Japanese is literally just reliving in the English market right this second. Like, people are saying the exact same things about it like that was said in 2021. There's no reason these cards will come down. The demand is crazier than all this stuff. This is the superior version. They're not going to do reprints of this stuff. They print to what they need, and like they're not going to print as much of stuff. There's more people stepping into the hobby, and the demand is going to be way more than the card itself. And I'm not saying that there's not going to be demand for this card, but to say that it's just going to hold this value forever, it's going to be $1,500 and it's just going to keep going up and up and up forever, is almost like just selling yourself just a false dream, a false truth that I think makes people feel better about the money they spend here. And I really do think a lot of these takes and a lot of the things people say about these cards are just validations to themselves. It's basically like a pat on the back. It's basically like, oh, if I buy this, it's going to go up in value. Therefore, I made good purchase. I do this stuff. And if you like the card, that really should be all it is. If you paid $1,500 for that Magikarp and you feel okay about it, hey, who am I to tell you what you did was wrong with your mind? I think it's a little goofy. I wouldn't spend that much money on it. But hey, if you're a happy camper and you like spend it, it's just crazy because people are going to see that. And by a trickle effect, it is going to affect the market. It is going to affect how these go. And this was already a card people were already hyping up and pushing. And it's just the last little push they need to get it to go a little bit further. This is not the only card that's going to happen with this too. Like I said, in the Japanese side of the house, we saw a lot of alternate arts creep up really good when they weren't really the thing that people wanted. Like a lot of tag team alternate arts were being pushed. And a lot of people said the exact same thing. These are going to be looked at as grails. These are going to be looked at as modern pieces of art. There's no reason for these cards to ever really dip too much in value because people are going to want these cards and they're not making any more of them. And people are only going to want to, and surely enough, the cards of a lot of these, like the prices have gone down in Japanese, like a ton of them have. A lot of alternate arts aren't being pumped anymore. A lot of craziness isn't happening. Some of the cards still have some value and it's residual from the boom that happened, but it is nowhere near some of the things it was. Like Sightseer, for example. So Sightseer gets she gets brought up so much lately, talking about expensive Japanese cards. There was one point where she was sitting, and it was in 2023, it wasn't even that long ago, where people in Japan, specific like buyers and stores, were willing to pay $1,400 US for this card and sell it for about $1,500, okay? This happened. You can pick up Sightseer now for $450, and yes, that is still expensive. That is still a pricey card, just considering like when she came out, she was a $32 card. No one cared about Sightseer in 2019 when Tag Team All-Stars came out. It was all about the gold cards, right? But that drop is insane. That is almost 3 times the value, just plummeting right to the ground. And for people to think this can't happen in English, I really do think people are playing a very dangerous game. It's a very arrogant, invincible, this is never gonna happen because of English, blah blah blah. It's like the same thing that we saw in 2020 where people were talking about vintage this, vintage that, and definitely some vintage singles have dropped tremendously in value. Not to say vintage completely tanked in value. It's always gonna have a little bit of some, and I think the Japanese market for some cards is always gonna have some value residual from that boom. People aren't gonna move cards crazy, but at the same time, you never know. I'm just saying, like, for certain cards to reach that crazy of a hype train where people are paying like $1,500 for an IR card and a PSA 10, and with other cards that are going to follow, there's going to be other cards from the fucking Scarlet and Violet era that follow that same suit that are going to reach similar prices. There are going to be cards that are $1,200. There's going to be IRs that are selling for a dumb amount from other sets too. People are going to try to do it with probably the Groudon. Maybe it's Tyranitar, maybe Raichu, maybe Ninetales. I mean, who the fuck knows? It's going to be one of those, like, other ones, too. And people are going to be like, oh, who saw this coming? The Japanese market did. It 100% did. It's emulating it almost to a T for specific cards. Replace tag team alternate arts with IRs. Replace Japanese fucking full art trainers with VMAX alternate arts and SIR cards in English. Like, it's the same thing, and it's playing out the exact same way. People are going to argue demand's different, one's real, one's not, when it all looks the same to me. It all looks like people that are hyping up some bullshit because of a monetary price point attached to it, set by people who don't necessarily love our hobby and really just want to make a quick buck out of here and move on to the next big thing. And when it's all said and done, the people who are still left here that actually enjoy the cards will pick up the pieces and rebuild for what it was. That's what it seems like to me. Just seems like propping stuff up, propping it until it can't be propped up anymore. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy who collects Pokemon cards here. We'll see. That Magikarp's goofy. That's a very goofy Magikarp. That's all I got. Appreciate it, Virgin Gang Stealer. $1,500 for Magikarp. Man, people were saying, what were they saying about like Solgaleo and Lunala? Like, what was that with the Lily on it from Dream League? Oh, that card being $1,200 is ridiculous. That's a crazy. Hey, that was an alternate tag team, my guy. And the Magikarp is surpassing it. Weird. Little weird, don't you think? I think it's a little weird.